Welcome to my reading of Duplicity and Duress, Snack Factories in the Making, my book with the pseudonym name Erin Vans. I'm going to read from Day 7, Fake Painted Flowers, January 31st, 2011. I think it was a Tuesday when this happened. So anyway, it's Monday or Tuesday. I'll begin with a little saying, and then I'll proceed with an excerpt from the chapter. I'll start from the middle of the chapter. This combination of events seemed supernatural and orchestrated, either by the devil or God's hand. By the seventh day, January 31st, 2011, I could only experience time, the dimension of time, as a surreal, slow-motion movie unfolding before my eyes. I can only offer human testimony. It is the only thing I know how to do. Day 7, Fake Painted Flowers, January 31st, 2011. An excerpt beginning in the middle or 3/4 through this chapter. My mom pulled the fake painted flowers out of the tacky tissue paper wrapping after my guests left. "Why don't you make a fresh cut in the stems?" she suggested, laying them down on the counter where I usually stack dishes to dry. She patted the stems with her hand. "On an angle is best, that's the way they say. Then we will put them in one of these mason jars filled with water." Then she added, "Just put the cut portions in the garbage disposal." Just put the cut portions in the garbage disposal. The garbage disposal. These words hung in the air like shards of stalagmites waiting to fall from a rock crystal cave. For a second I froze because I didn't want to turn on the garbage disposal. I believed, I really did, that the garbage disposal would explode. Now I was waiting for when the secret life insurance policyholders were going to get rid of not just me, but my mother too. I hesitated, but did not want my mom knowing that I thought this. My brain considered two options. Either the disposal was going to blow and we were dead, and there was really nothing to do about it, because how could one predict such a thing with 100% accuracy? Or it wasn't going to explode. Either way, I had no control. No one knows when one is going to die. My brain decided to defy the paranoia, to trust all was going to be okay. With great trepidation, a squinted face, some nausea, and severe trembling and convulsing, I flipped the switch. The cut pieces of the stems were sucked down into the drain, into the vortex of sharp blades, water, and centrifuge. The sound of my breathing settled to a somewhat normal pace. No explosion. The monstrous sound of the disposal ringing in my ears, the stems were shredded and then washed away by the fast-running water from the faucet. To me, the sound of the garbage disposal was as loud as 5 18-wheelers barreling down the far side of a Pacific Coast mountain, pumping their brakes. At the time, I could hear a pin drop 2 blocks away in a crowded city. This is how sensitized and hypervigilant I was. My brain had been cracked wide open. There's so much more to report from just that single night alone. For instance, later, before bed, I thought there was a gun in my mother's Florida Gators purse, because earlier that evening my cousin spoke about someone from a news story who just up and shot another person, which involved a grandparent as the shooter. Anyway, my mind was so impressionable, suggestible, fearful, and untrusting, even of my own family, that as my mom, seemingly in slow motion, reached into her blue and orange purse with the Florida Gators embroidered logo on it, I recoiled in fear on my bed in a ball. It seemed to me as if she might pull out a gun and shoot me dead. The idea of the garbage disposal was just a ruse to create even more fear, and that the real end of my life would occur at my own mother's hand. It is difficult to explain all that happened, but it appeared to me as if my mom was another person. As if she were a robot or a puppet, and that someone was operating her. As if all these years this sweet, passive woman was actually a cold-blooded assassin working for the CIA. It was her body, but not her self. I wish I could do a better job explaining, but I've come to understand that the only way anyone can feel what it was like and what it is like is to have it happen to them. This is not something I would wish on most people. However, I admit in my darkest hours I wish for this same experience to fall upon those who knowingly participated in terrorizing me. I am compassionate of others only to a point. What these people did reaches far beyond that point. I wish nothing good for them at all. But there was no gun, there was no shooting. It was all in my mind, or rather it was put or placed into my mind like a holograph. It was how I perceived the events that night, and it wasn't just one traumatic event that triggered this. There was an orchestrated, well-choreographed operation going on, but I don't know how to prove that. I was too terrified back then to document. Even for someone in a normal state of mind and who was not terrorized, would find it impossible to document activity like this. Besides, there was and there is so much more going on than what I'm saying in this brief recollection. I will say this. I am not a fan of fake painted flowers. Real is my preference. Fake paint smothers, stunts, and kills whatever it is placed upon. It prevents flowers from breathing, from experiencing photosynthesis the way that it was designed to occur. But I kept the flowers because my cousin brought them to me, and I know him, and I know where he came from, and I know what he survived. I know the pain, and I see the road he's on, and I know that he is young, but also very old, in spirit and soul. So I kept the flowers because I know he didn't mean it. My cousin and I have not communicated since that evening, except for the one time I mentioned a few days after day 7 via Facebook when inquiring what he might know, but he wasn't and isn't talking. I don't know what you're talking about, he replied. Like I said earlier, he said it coldly in a Facebook email. I want to go on record saying that the attack, and it was an attack and a ransack. It was severe. I'm still alive, and this surprises me. I made it through the worst of it, and this surprises me. Other people are still alive, but not all, I'm certain of it. There are people we hear about in the news who have jumped off bridges. I wonder who among them were attacked in similar ways, and I believe some of them were attacked, and if they were, it was severe. I understand them, but I must have it on record that I will never hurt myself or others. The thing is, it is dangerous in the current state of America to do so much as hint otherwise. Whether one is aware of it or not, there are a lot of freedom-inhibiting practices in place today. They've been building for many years. Whether reinforced or brought into existence as a result of actions by the state or cults or thugs or mafias or other unknown cells consisting of new breeds of people, I'm pretty sure of it now. No, I'm certain of it now. No one can convince me otherwise. The thing about fake is that it stunts growth and breathing and life. Fake paint, for instance, is an imposition by less than thoughtful beings on the beautiful flower, which has no defense against entities so forceful and clumsy and hoggish and egotistical and unthoughtful. This disturbs me very deeply. If one were to ask, what happened? I cannot offer a simplified and clear incident other than what I'm writing here. There are many, many, many incidents during 2011 that were nuanced, subtle, disorienting, and terrifying, a string of inexplicable events that, upon reflection, reached back for many years, actually, and culminated into that which was experienced in 2011. I can only say that if you are sucked up into a vortex and targeted for something otherworldly, you will know it. It was made very clear to me through a collective of experience by a collective of people that statements and actions made in private by me were known to this collective population as if I'd been forced to live in a very open society or a glass house every single day. Exactly 1 year later, an old friend from my neighborhood phoned to inquire if I heard about my old home burning down. She and I grew up a few houses away from each other on a street named Hudson Drive. She'd since moved into northern Pennsylvania, but said her brother called saying, "Sky's house is up in flames, like 2 or 3 alarms. Nothing like this has ever happened in 40 years. She told me there was a blog online documenting the scene, and so I quickly logged on to view the many photos of the house with flames tearing through the roof, right over my bedroom where my old Mickey Mouse puppet on strings used to hang on the doorknob, and where my little pink wind-up stuffed animal dog with a squeaky nose would play, "Look at that doggy in the window, the one with the waggly tail." How much for that doggy in the window? The orchestrated terror was still occurring in my life at full throttle at the time of the fire, ensuring this news would hit me like a ton of bricks, like a threat, as if whoever was behind this massacre wanted me to understand one thing and one thing only. He or she was far more powerful than me, with connections as high up as fire inspectors, and, if so choose, could and did burn down the childhood home where my mom, sister, and I shared so many memories. By then, I'd become dissociated enough to compartmentalize this new development, knowing that if I really took it in, I would, once and for all, go mad. Thank you for listening. That is an excerpt from Fake Painted Flowers, Day 7, January 31st, 2011.